I don't know, Halloween is just like a weird holiday to be dressing up as anybody else's culture.
You can say the same thing about any costume. Are you going to tell a 6-year-old girl that she can't dress up like a pirate because she doesn't know the history of pirates? Like,
that's very different.
White people have culture. 3, 2, 1.
We're all technically white. If you're from England, if you're from Australia, if you're from wherever, South Africa, you know, we all have these crazy places we come from and these people are around and we get those ideas from those people. But that doesn't mean us as a whole have no culture.
But as a white person, it's not really a culture. You can have culture, like I'm hella Irish, obviously, and that's a culture. But just being white is not it's not a culture. I can't relate to you just because you're white.
I think you could say that for any ethnicity, though. If we were all black, could I relate to you guys if just because of the color of our skin?
Yes, because they go through very similar experiences. Like they'll get discriminated against, and you're not getting discriminated against because of your skin color. They can both relate to that.
But I also feel like with culture, we branch out, we try different things, we want to do different things. So maybe we've lost a little bit of our culture. Maybe we're creating a new culture.
There you go.
This has been a very polarizing question, especially on this channel. Do white people have culture? Well, some, I guess, were like no, and some said yes on this question. I don't know what white culture is. I guess it's the best way to put it. And when I ask my white friends, some might say, oh yeah, we have culture. And then when they try to explain it, they don't know how to explain it. Not to say that they're wrong. They just don't know how to explain the culture. Or maybe the culture is actually something uncomfortable to actually talk about. And then my other friends will say, no, there is no white culture. There's a white community because we're all, you know, white, we have white skin, but it's very, very individualistic in the way that we are as Americans rather than maybe with Black Americans. It is more of a sense of a community. Though I have heard someone say, oh yeah, our culture is like the military or like being patriotic and, you know, the red, white, and blue and the military and things of that nature, which I feel, I mean, if that's it, then fine. Though I would kind of argue back on that and say it's not just American culture. I don't know, but we'll see.
I believe in reverse racism. 3, 2, 1.
I don't know what that is.
We can explain it.
Okay, what is it?
I'll stay here before I decide.
Reverse racism is like someone being racist against you because you are white. Like, do you believe that someone can be racist against a white person?
Really?
Yeah. I grew up where it was completely like Hispanic culture. I was constantly made fun of because I was white. Oh, white people can't dance. White people look stupid, whatever.
They shouldn't say white people can't dance, but they can't dance.
No, yeah, I
They
can't
shouldn't
dance.
say it.
Just putting that out there. But I mean, like, being honest though, like they would say those mean things to me and more hurtful things than that. It's like a hard pill to swallow because if I turned around and said, Black people can't dance, I'd get hell for that. But then if someone says the same words to me, it's somehow okay because
You have to look at the difference of it though. And I relate to you. I grew up with all Latino or Black friends. I had very few white friends. And yeah, I got made fun of for being like the white girl. I was gringa. And I didn't take offense to it because the huge part about racism is that there's hate and oppression behind it. And as a white person in America, I do not feel oppressed.
And I definitely think that we should take the log out of our own eyes before worrying about the sawdust in other people's. Like, I totally agree with that, but there is sawdust, so that's kind of what this is for me.
That's interesting. Can white people experience racism? Well, this has been in the discourse as of late a lot. And when I say as of late, I mean within like the last 5 years, I feel like more so. There's white people that said no, white people cannot experience racism in the same way as minorities. And then there's white people that say yes, they definitely can. But everyone has their own different definition of racism. There's the more power structure idea of racism where prejudice plus power equals racism. And then there's an interpersonal experience with racism. Interpersonal experience with racism, perhaps white people can feel that because if they're being ganged up on because they're white, discriminating against someone because of their color. If someone wants to say that's racism, then yeah, anyone can experience that. I think, though, we need to be more concise with our language. Can white people feel discriminated against, feel bad, feel hurt when people make fun of their skin color or target them because they're white? Yes. And I think a lot of white people, that's what they mean when they say that. I think that's what everyone means when they say the thing, when they say like, I feel discriminated against, but it is, I don't think it's the same though. I don't think like when I'm called the N-word and when a white person is said that they can't dance because they're white, that's not the same as me being called the N-word or me being discriminated against because of my color, because there's, like that person said, there's historical background of oppression attached to when that happens to me versus when it happens to someone white, because who created that were white European settlers. So it's like, it's a whole, if there needs to be a whole different conversation right now, perhaps, around the idea of racism and us just defining it when it comes to certain circumstances and when it comes to certain topics and things like that. Can white people be hurt if they're targeted by just being white? Of course. Can they feel that they experience prejudice or discrimination? Yeah. Can it hurt their feelings? Of course, yeah. And I think that needs to be recognized if we really want to start understanding people on a human level. But I don't think we experience racism the same. Not to put a pun to it, but there's a spectrum of how people experience racism. And it's stupid. It's like racism and race is just so arbitrary. But this is an actual real thing. And we just have to really have, and I hate saying have honest, open conversations because that sounds like the same thing. We need to have new discussions on when we talk about race. I'm tired of having the same discussion. We need to have new conversations about it and invite all of people's point of views in, no matter what race you are, to talk about racism. I really think that is what we need. So we'll see what everyone else says.
Me, I feel like anything we do can come out racist to any other type of race. But at the same time, if they say something mean or racist to us that we feel is racist, it kind of gets brushed off.
When I think of the word racism, I think more towards oppression. So that's why I'm in the disagree. Like, I'll deal with someone just being mean to me, but whatever.
Focusing on race divides us. 3, 2, 1.
I think it's important to focus on race in order to bring us together. There is a race issue in America, and if we just avoid it altogether and pretend like it's not happening, nothing's going to change, in my opinion.
I kind of was thinking about the question differently because if all I'm thinking about when I meet someone is, oh, I'm white and she's not white, and I'm white and she's not white, like that for me, that's like what focusing on race is.
Yeah, they're never going to be happy unless we just like all work together, just to like treat each other like each other. You know, like there is no race.
Yeah, and that sounds great, but it's like we're not there. We're not there. I feel like people who have that perspective might also say like, oh, I don't see color, or try to have that attitude. I don't think that helps anybody. I think we need to respect each other's backgrounds, and like that is only gonna happen if we do see color. We do like appreciate everybody's differences.
I could understand everyone's point of view on that question in particular. To Do we need to focus on race? Again, that's like very ambiguous. What do you mean by focus? The focus is on race. It's been always been on race. I think it's how we focus on race. Does that divide us? Race is never going away. As much as people want, color blindness, or much people want like critical race theory or whatever, no matter what, race is going to be a thing. I feel like it's how we now progress forward and how we're going to tackle this issue as Americans. I think that we need to focus on race in a way where we try to unbind ourselves from the implications of what racism and what race has done to our country. I don't agree with programs like critical race theory because I feel like that tethers us more down to racial categories that were created, back in the day, that was meant to literally divide us. And that if you have these critical race theories that basically teaches someone to care about me because of my color, but not my character, I have a problem with that. I have no problem having discourses on race. I have a problem with having the same discourse and the same discussion about race. And I feel like that needs to change. But focusing on races that divide us, it depends on how you're focusing on it. I want to focus on it where we unravel it in a way where we see why race is not the thing to focus on to unify us. But you do need to hear other people's experiences and their stories and how they feel within their race, I feel like, to have an organic and authentic discussion and dialogue for something that will help us in the long run. I don't think you can just say, let's just stop talking about race and let's just, focus on something else that'll unify us. No, we have to talk about it. And you can hold your own idea about how you feel about race, but be willing just to hear that person's side. Just be willing just to hear. And even if you want to start with even looking at videos like this and looking at another video that I'm going to be posting about, do all Black people think alike? And just hearing the different point of views and perspectives of why people think the way they think. Because we get too intertwined with media and what's happening in the mainstream and think that that's how people feel, when it's so abstract and there's so many variables and there's such a gray area on why people feel the way they feel about this issue. It's not a one blanket idea. It's not a general idea. People have strong ties to how they feel, whether they don't want to talk about it or whether they really want to. We have to understand why each of us have these point of views, or else we're not going to get anywhere.
Cultural appropriation is real. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, I think cultural appropriation is very real. You see all the time, like Coachella, we're in LA and you see people in the Native American headdresses without knowing how important that is to Native people.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's a difference between respecting the culture and completely disrespecting the culture. But then also, if you want to dress up on Halloween like a geisha because you like the costume, you think it's a beautiful costume, that I wouldn't say is...
I wouldn't do that. I think if you're going to go and dress up as a geisha without knowing the importance of it and just being like, well, this is cute, like I'm going to put this on. And also, even if you did know the importance and you're like, I don't know, Halloween is just like a weird holiday to be dressing up as anybody else's culture.
You can say the same thing about any costume. Are you going to tell a 6-year-old girl that she can't dress up like a pirate because she doesn't know the history of pirates? Like,
that's very different.
Well, so it's just like...
That's very different. Those are children.
I think it's a lot about intention, because I think wearing that thing at Coachella, like, I feel like I would see that as that person mocking someone.
Well, even if they don't intentionally mean it, it's still offensive.
Before we move on to the next question, we're talking about cultural appropriation. This can be another video actually, but why do you want to dress up as someone else's race or culture and it's not yours? I would never dress up as a geisha. I would never dress up as a Native American, even though my grandma or great grandma is Native American, half Native American. I don't look Native American and I don't know all the traditions. I don't know all the backstory, the history. So just to be like, well, I can wear this because I want to. It's like, if it's going to offend someone, I'm just not going to do it. That's just me. I do understand people will have there's a difference between cultural appreciation and cultural appropriation. I do know, I have a lot of friends who, are Middle Eastern who, have parties and they might have everyone in traditional Indian garb and in the beautiful patterns and things like that. And they are allowing that in their space, in their home, and because they don't care. But am I, like, let's just say I went there and I did that because they were like, no, we want you to do it. It's part of our tradition and culture and we want you to experience it and it's fine. In their home, where they are at the helm of it and they're like, this is okay, fine. But am I going to then say, well, I'm going to go out somewhere and with my friends and wear this, traditional dressing. And if someone comes up to me and it's like, oh, that's offensive, I'm like, no, my friend says okay. That's not the same thing. Because people don't know your intent. And right now, intent matters so much. And it does tend to be the people who say, I don't care about race. It tends to be those people who will feel comfortable to dress up in Native American headdress or things like that and be like, well, who cares? We all can do it. It's like, but you just said who cares about race? Who cares about this? But then you want to dress up as someone's race. No. Because you're basically saying like, no, I want to see your character. I want to see, and that's fine. But then to put on their culture and their race like a costume when you don't even want to sit down with them and have a discussion about their actual experience right now in 2021 of what they're going through with their race. But you want to dress up as their race. Don't people kind of see how that's problematic? I'll just say this with this question. Just don't dress up as people. People are just not costumes. And I know that, oh, that sounds so left. That's not a left thing. That's just a human decency thing. That's just a common sense. Just don't dress up as someone that's Native American if you're not. Don't dress up as and put blackface on your face if you're that and you're not black. And black people don't even put black. Just don't. Just don't. Okay? Just please.
The only reason I'm at somewhat disagree is because a lot of my favorite rappers use it frequently. If I'm listening to my favorite Childish Gambino song, which drops it like 100 times,
I know, so
you know that
in the car, it's like,
it's like I'm not sitting there thinking all these horrible things about black people, and I'm like, it's just in the song, and when I'm singing, it comes out.
There's like two different forms of the word. There ends with an ER and with an A. And like with my friends, they're like, oh, you can say it with an A, like that won't hurt my feelings.
That's what people told me.
But also, like, even when I'm in the car by myself, like, I still feel like it's not my place. Maybe I'll, like, whisper it, like, with an A at the end, you know, like, if I'm by myself. But, like, out of the respect for other people, I just think it's more appropriate not to say it at all.
Do you guys think rappers should stop putting it in their songs?
No.
I feel like if they're
Why?
African
If you
American,
think it's wrong, though, why?
I don't think it's wrong because the history of the N-word slave owners would call Black people as the N-word with the hard R at the end. If Black people want to take that word and claim it as their own and claim that painful history and like be like, F you, like I'm going to claim this word, I think they should be allowed to do that. I don't think as a white person, I have that right to take a word that was derogatory towards them. They should 100% have the right to do that.
But do you think it's okay for a white person to sing the song?
See, that's where we're like all on the fence. It's like I feel like
It's a word used as my friend basically, and like just like she said, if they want to take that back from its horrible origins, then I'm totally fine with that. But as a white person, you can't say that word without feeling a certain way.
Yeah,
So
but I have a question.
In a song, in a rap song, I'm gonna say this. I don't know what you do at your home. If you sing along to these rappers and they're saying the N-word with an A, obviously, and you're at your home, I don't know what you do there. You're in your home, so whatever. But around me, my friends do not do that. My white friends just don't. There's no point to say the N-word around me. It's rude. Plain, it's rude. There is such a difference with the ER and the A. And yes, I'll just say in that with if you ask this with Black people, it would have been there would have been sitting on the different lines too. They all wouldn't have said, yeah, we love the A, the N, A, that word. And I know I have close friends that are like, I never say it, who are Black. And then I have other Black friends that don't care. I have other Black friends that say it freely. Though I think that conversation is for us. I don't understand why people care about how we use the word. Why do you care? And yes, it's out there, so why are you putting it out there? The word, the ER word is out there too. And like she said, it is like a, FU, so to speak, to the word and to the people that created it. Like, this word's going to be around, so now we're taking the power out of it, and now we are using it in a way where it's one of our colloquialisms where it means something totally different, a 180, and we're going to use it like, you're my friend. And when we say it, there's also a sense of, we know the history, we know the background, there's community here, we know this word was supposed to hurt us, and now we own it, and now it won't. I definitely will use the word when I want to use it, and sometimes I don't want to, and sometimes I do, sometimes struggle, like, should I use it, should I not? But that's my conversation I'll have with me and my household and me and who I am, and internally or externally with other Black people. I think the discussion about it is between us. Just that is something that was supposed to be weaponizing against us. The ER was supposed to be weaponizing against us, and almost using it with an A is punching back at the ER. That is really that. And it's a language that we feel like we should be the only ones that get to use it. Now, do we all even agree in our community about that word? No, we don't. But other people on the outside, I don't think you get to have any say on what comes out of our mouth and how we use it, or if we don't want to use it. One day we might be like, you know what, let's get rid of this word, and that's it. We'll just stop using it within our community, and hopefully, if other people will stop too. But if we want to use it, we can use it if we want. I don't even know why it's a discussion all the time.
If they didn't put it in their songs, you wouldn't say it, right?
No, yeah.
So are they causing people to say that word more often? Because she wouldn't say it if
It's
it
not
wasn't.
white people's place to tell them what they can and cannot use. So.
I live a privileged life. 3, 2, 1.
It's so sad to say because I never say it out loud, but it's the truth, is like getting pulled over by the police. I always feel like I have a little bit of a one-up because I'm white, because I'm a woman. And I feel so bad that that's the truth, but this is a real thing and it's unfortunate.
For me as an individual, I feel like I'm not privileged. Sure, like white people background came from like being higher up on the scale, but I've gone through really hard things before. I don't feel like I'm superior over other people. So as an individual, I don't feel like I'm privileged.
I want to say this before I lose the thought. I'm actually surprised that woman in the black said what she said about knowing that she feels a sense of privilege with having white skin being pulled over versus having black skin or being brown or being a minority. I'm actually surprised she said that. And that's not to be, you know, condescending or patronizing to her. I'm just surprised. Yeah, I'm just surprised by that.
I think privileged, I guess I don't really think that I'm above other people. I just think that naturally I'm treated differently.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
perception.
that's
It's just perception. It's,
Yeah, I think that's a huge misconception. I have privilege that I didn't ask for. It's just society sees me as like the standard for whatever reason. And because of that, I get treated differently. And why privilege, you know, like you said, it's not about what you've gone through or what you experience. It's 100% how the world sees me.
That's a very ambiguous question, though. Do I live a privileged life? If you ask it to anyone, no matter the race, people are going to have different answers to that. But I think, yeah, there's an individual sense of what privilege means, and then like a holistic view on what privilege means with people that look a certain way, based on color, based on their class, based on education, based on if they're considered attractive or not. Yeah. So I guess that maybe they meant for it to be kind of vague so people would, you know, discuss more thoroughly what they think it means to be privileged. So, and we saw there's different opinions on it.
Proud to be white. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah. Can there be a middle?
Yeah, pick a side.
I almost went there too. It's like
I
it's
think
so
like
hard.
guiltily, like I'm like happy that I'm not oppressed, but I'm not proud of like things people have done in the past.
When I think of being proud of something, I think of something I worked for, or that I had to do nothing to be white, absolutely nothing, and nothing was taken from me because I was white.
It's like saying I'm a proud white person is a completely different saying than saying I'm a proud Black person. Because when you hear I'm a proud Black person, I think empowerment, I think strength, I think courage, I think, you know, all these amazing things that the Black community has done and accomplished throughout the years. But then when you say I'm a proud white person, already there's so much like hate involved in that.
Thing about that is like how you said, someone who says I'm proud to be Black, that's empowerment. Why aren't I allowed to be proud to be white? What makes it wrong?
Yeah, what are you proud of? Just your skin color? Because yes, that is wrong.
So you're saying I can't be proud to be white because I don't have a culture?
No, that's not what I'm saying. It's that when white people say they're proud to be white, a lot of times, at least in my opinion, they're talking about their skin color, that they're not a different race. I think that's wrong.
Yeah.
But as like we were talking about, as a proud Black person, they've been oppressed, that a lot of their culture was stolen from them. And a lot of reasons that I don't like proud to be white is because it has the Nazis used it, the KKK used it.
I think, yeah, it's like I'm proud to be white. Is different than saying I'm proud to be Black, but I think what he's saying and what other people are saying, like historically, that phrase, just that sentence has been tainted and stigmatized by people who mean it in a way where I'm proud that I am not a minority and that I don't suffer what they suffer through, and that I'm proud to be white and they mean white, a synonym for superior. Then there's people that were like, I think that woman in the floral dress, I think she really was like, I'm proud to be white, like who I am. She is white. I think that's what she means by white. Why can't I just be proud to be white? And I don't think she means it in a, I'm proud to be superior. But if you do say that, that's automatically people are going to think that's what you mean. You mean I'm proud that I am not white. I'm proud that I am superior. That's what people are going to think. I don't think people should feel like they're a demon or anything for being white. I don't think people should feel necessarily like ashamed for their being born white. I will say, you know, people that I've come across in my life, like literally in my life, or just in a comment section, people that say like I'm oh yeah, proud to be white, and then right after that is like a racial slur or racial epithet. Interesting. It's interesting question to ask, and it's interesting to hear these answers from these 6 people.
I don't want to be associated with any of those things, so I'm just going to completely stay away from that.
Sure, I'm not proud of like what my culture's done, but at the same time, like I would not want to be anything else. If I had to choose another race, I don't know what I would be. I'm okay with where I am, even though I'm getting backlash about being white.
Wait, not a food question.
You like Starbucks.
How many of you are vegan?
Hey guys, this is
It's interesting that she said that I'm not proud of what my culture did. So what does that what does she mean by her culture? Does she mean her history with European settlers in America and what they did? Is that white culture? I don't know. Well, that was an interesting video. And I actually like these type of videos that show like people among the same race don't think the same, and that everyone's a monolith. Everyone has different point of views, and even when they do agree on something, they all kind of have different angles of why they agree with that thing or disagree with it. And I think that's even more interesting to hear. Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to check out the other one where I react to Do All Black People Think Alike, and see my comments there. And yeah, have a good week. Peace, love, less shade.